So to begin, I'd like to do just a really short one-word Hawaiian welcome. The word is aloha, and then I would love for you to respond, okay? From deep inside, just like your own people do. Aloha. My story is going to begin where Dr. Robbins so beautifully postponed and paused his talk in the quantum world. Because when I was a child, about 15, in my mother's kitchen, I took some chicken livers and blended them up, put a couple chemicals in, and pulled out a strand of DNA and a polymer. And I thought, wow, how amazing. And I looked at what it looked like, and I said, I want to know more about this world. So I spent the next many years getting a PhD in biochemistry, and then I got sick because it was so stressful. And I discovered my Qigong Chinese medical teacher, master, Dr. Lam Kong, who taught me the world of energy that Dr. Robbins so beautifully showed you. So I started practicing Chinese medicine, which I've been doing now for 42 years. And then 15 years ago, I got a diagnosis of liver cancer, when I thought I was doing everything correctly. So I knew that something was up, there was a message in all this, that there was something even prior to energy that I wanted to know about, because my clients would come back with different diseases, same patterns, which any acupuncturist here will understand. So my questions that I'm going to share with you is my journey and the methods that I've developed to live this quantum world that Robin so beautifully began tantalizing me with. Because that was the only way that I'm here today, I'm sure. And because I never went for Western medicine. And you know, I'm 65 now, and I look better than I did when I was 50 with the diagnosis of liver cancer, for sure. So here we go. After we know what comes before energy, we're also going to learn then how you create the universe as you desire. I'm supposed to use this one. You can summarize where I began, which again is where Dr. Robbins so beautifully left us or led us to, with a haiku that I wrote called the haiku, which is poetry from Japan, for haiku, heart intelligent quotient. When you dare to bury your heart naked, you can turn your scared into sacred. And that's really what our 6 days together would ask you to do. Just bury your hearts naked. And if you do, as I've discovered, you become the sacredness of the universe, which is what you're going to discover from the quantum world. And then, of course, Robin has shown us, again, that because it's a hologram and a holographic universe, this quantum world has to have an equivalence in our lives. But nobody, even the great scientists who discovered it, were able to show us how to do it. So we're all, whoops.
You can just cancel, cancel.
Is there another way to do that? Oh, cancel. Thank you. Because I've done that a few times already. Thank you. So anyway, so that's where we're going to go. We're going now down into the atom that we all studied in science, those protons and neutrons, and find out how we can apply what they told us to us. So everything in the universe, we found out, is made up of two-ness, a particleness and a waveness. And this particle and waveness can't be, is never apart. Wherever you see what I call a body surfer. I call particles body surfers because I live in Hawaii. Wherever there's a body surfer, there are waves. Wherever there are waves, there's a body surfer. And that's what particles are like. They're there, they're just appearing in these waves. But this wave nature is not the wave that we know about. It's a quantum wave. It's a wave of information. Something that is not visible, but very real. And we can see it, we can do experiments with it. And it had the greatest minds calling it spooky, because Einstein couldn't handle what he discovered there, as Robin began to tell us about. When the particle and the wave are together, they make up the whole universe, the light and the matter of the universe. And so, what the scientists did was take the word wave and the last part of the word particle, and they call it a waveable. So the particle and the wave become a third thing, which is the waveable, the unity or the triunity that somehow we are going to apply to us and begin to live, which is what I believe changed everything in my life forever. So here are some waves. Tell me about these waves. Waves they reach the ends of the universe, and they're made up of information. They repeat themselves, just like this pattern here will repeat itself over and over and over again. So this nature of a wave repeats itself, it recurs, it fills the whole universe instantaneously, this moment. Nothing can stop it, nothing can change it. It fills every space of the universe as information and permeates all people, all persons, and all things. And it never diminishes, and it never falls apart. Which, nobody could handle this 50 years ago. So the men said, well, we don't have to look at that. That doesn't have anything to do with us. And I don't know any women that were there at the time. But they just put it on hold, and as Robin will tell you, they're beginning to apply it to biology. Well, I didn't have time. I was looking at liver cancer. I said, I'm applying it now. It's got to apply to us. And sure enough, with the help of many friends and teachers, I've been applying it ever since and living it, and had incredible experiences with clients, friends, and myself. William and I will tell you a little story. I was coming out of the production center to come over here, loaded down with all the stuff I needed, and William just happened to walk across the production center and said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Sure," because I really wanted help. I didn't ask him, but that's an example of thinking with the quantum brain. And I'm going to tell you how to do it and teach you, and you can take it home and teach your friends, yourselves after this week. So this information makes up this wave. I didn't like the word information. It sounded a little cold. I didn't want to be called information. So I changed the word to INFORMOTION, which means the information that's the reason for your motion, for the motion of you, for your life. Not movement yet. Movement comes next. Information comes together, and then you get movement with yin and yang later. So before that, you're INFORMOTION. You're just something before energy. Okay? So you could call yourself your wave, just like the Tao is translated, your wave. How can we find out about this wave? Well, when I asked the question, I got an email, and it was from someone telling me this wonderful quote by Gandhi. Do you know this quote? No? Let me read it. I'll channel Gandhi. Keep your belief positively yours, because from your beliefs come your thoughts. From your thoughts come your words. From your words come your actions. From your actions come your habits. From your habits come your values. And from your values come you. And that's the beginning of my idea of where the information, what it looked like. It was some of these words, so I put them together down below. I added 2 words. Men don't talk a lot about emotions, so I put emotions at the end, and then attitudes. I typically will have attitudes, as some of you may have once in a while. And so I put attitudes in there, mixed them up, and I got a word. So I could remember these, called bathways. And I love the picture that Dr. Robin showed of the baby in the bathtub, because that's exactly the name of the first part, this little technique that started getting me out of the rut that I was in with the liver cancer. I called part 1 the bathway. Because you know when you take a bath, how great you feel, and a shower, there's something about a bath that is very transformative. So I decided the first part of the technique would be a hand bath that we would give ourselves. And we'll go into that later after I give you a little more application of the quantum world to you. This two-ness then, you're actually 2. I would say 2 selves, 2 beings, and I gave them a little picture because I had to draw it somehow. So I'm going to show you. This would be Angela, her personal particle self that you can see up there. You know her. She's often in your face, talking about this, talking about the conference. She's there. And that's the body, mind, personality of me, right? You know that part of you quite well. This other part of me, called the eternal self. The reason we call it eternal is because the word eternal actually means repeating, recurring. Not immortal, but repeating and recurring. So here's this other part of me that I didn't know. I've been creating her my whole life, but I didn't know who she was. I didn't know what she was doing, at least not in words, not in my awareness. And I knew that somehow I needed to know what this wave nature was, so that my wave nature could somehow live in communion all the time with my eternal self nature. And if I could do that, then I would become the equivalent of the wavicle, which was, in our diagram here, called the resplendent, illuminated self. That would be what we would call your enlightening nature. Only it's not spiritual, because this is not spiritual. Am I making noise hitting this? Do you hear it? No? Good. So anyway, this is not spiritual. This is actually a real INFORMOTION entity that exists. So when these 2, personal being, can you follow me if I point at my screen down here? Is that all right? So if you put together the personal self with the eternal self, I'm sorry.
We cannot see.
PS with ES. Oh, you can see it. Okay, then I'm going to do my little, here we are. Here's our personal self. I just didn't type it out in my book. Here is our eternal self. These 2 are living in communion. That's what these are. Okay? When these 2 live in communion, the particle and the wave, you become then the wavicle of you, which is the resplendent, illuminated self. Basically, your enlightening self. Now, there isn't just one of these. This comes out every moment of your life. Because in the quantum world, this particle is jumping out of existence and into existence every moment. Out, in, out, in. Every time it comes in, it's totally different, totally new. People always tell me, like today, Angela, you look so different today. What's up? And I'm realizing that it's because I'm beginning to apply these principles. And so this resplendent, illuminated self here keeps popping out of you, out of your triunity. And as they pop out, they are becoming the universe. They are actually entering the memory of the universe. Another thing that the quantum world tells us that I never knew before. Okay, then, this is what you could say we're born with this agenda of us, that we know is true, but we don't know this. So here we're born, and here we have a body. We come into the body, and we give birth to the embodied particle wave, illuminated self. And so there are two of these being present in our lives at all times. And if you flip one of these down and put it on top of each other, later you'll see what I discovered about the sacred flower of life. But I don't want to jump ahead too much. Let's keep going. Whoops. Okay, so I think I can sit for this one. So this you, this resplendent, illuminated self of you, is equivalent to this quantum wavicle that we were looking at the beginning that makes up the whole universe. If the wavicle then, which is the wave particle, makes up the whole universe, then your resplendent, illuminated selves make up the whole universe, as we see it. Okay? So now, let's go ahead. How are we going to find out what that wave nature is of us? Well, I hate to tell you, it's everywhere in your life, but we don't know how to read it. Here you have your personal being, and you're constantly giving love letters to yourself, telling yourself just what your eternal self is. So you have dreams that contain it. You have creations that you're making, artwork that contain it. Your bodily symptoms are telling you what it is. Your daily events are telling you about it. But the easiest one of all are your accomplishments. Because in your accomplishments, you're not fighting with it. You're actually living that. Does everyone know that word in English? Accomplishment? Are you kind of? So the accomplishments that you have done reveal your eternal wave. And this was a gift that was given to me by a teacher, this idea. So we started having people make a list of 8 things they did in their life that they were proud of. And then we had to find out how people were actually doing those things. Not what they did, but how, or the way in which they did it. So that's your homework for my workshop, which is the day after tomorrow. You have to bring a list of 8 things that you've accomplished, that you're proud of, and just tell me a little bit about how you did it, if you can. And then we'll start to work with those so you can begin to identify your own eternal selves. Once you identify it, then with awareness, as Dr. Robbins said, you can go to your triune wholeness. You can start manifesting the illuminated you and create the universal you, which is emergent, which I have to define for you, because emergent is a quality of the quantum world that we don't know about. This quality is what's called the mirror call. I took the word miracle and I changed it into mirror call, because that little bit of entanglement that Robin began to talk about is actually one of your biggest gifts that you give to yourself. And you can use it every day to keep yourself on track. You also, through entanglement, get access to the whole universe. Every question you ask will be answered. And your eternal, desirable life becomes easy, and you are then memoried in the universe, always. So this memory is actually self-created as you create your own eternal wave from the memory that you've